Hello, Radiant Leo. Do you feel like the universe is finally aligning everything for you to win, not by chance, but by divine timing? Because what's unfolding from May 12th to 15th isn't random. It's personal. This is a deep, soul-level horoscope reading brought to you by Eternal Mindfulness, where astrology meets purpose, and where signs from the cosmos are decoded not just for prediction, but for transformation. Whether you've been quietly manifesting a financial shift, searching for clarity in your path, or just looking for that one cosmic nudge to confirm what your heart already knows, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's be clear from the start, this isn't just another forecast. This is an energetic transmission. And in the next few minutes, we're going to unlock 6 sacred numbers, not to guide you, but to affirm you. Because Leo, the truth is, you've already been doing the work. Now, the universe is responding. Pause with me for a moment. Ask yourself, why did I click on this video today, at this exact moment, with these exact words in front of me? That's not coincidence. That's synchronicity. And if your intuition led you here, then you already know something massive is about to shift, not through force, but through alignment. You see, you weren't meant to chase. You were meant to hold. To magnetize. To command without controlling. And these next 4 days will be proof of how powerful your stillness can be, especially when it comes to wealth, visibility, and soul purpose. Before we dive into these 6 cosmic numbers, which may very well echo the quiet signs you've already been receiving, let me take a moment to say thank you. Truly. Your presence here isn't just a view, it's a vibration. Every like you tap, every comment you share, every time you subscribe, you don't just support this channel. You become part of the Eternal Mindfulness family, a growing collective of light seekers, soul healers, and divine creators who know that destiny isn't something we wait for, it's something we build with presence. So thank you, deeply, for choosing to be here. For choosing to listen. For choosing yourself. And trust me, dear Leo, you're going to want to stay with me until the very last second of this video, because what the universe is revealing now is nothing short of spectacular. These numbers are not here to tease your hope. They're here to confirm your preparation. So tell me in the comments, what angel number has been showing up in your life lately? Which number keeps whispering, nudging, or flashing across your path? Drop it below, not as a request, but as a recognition. You're not hoping something happens. You're already inside the vibration where it's unfolding. Let's begin. And remember, you're not here to follow the light. You are the light. When the number 11 appears, it doesn't knock loudly, it simply glows, like a door that was always there, but now gently creaks open under the quiet weight of your awareness. This isn't a number you chase, it's a number that shows up when your energy becomes still enough to notice. In numerology, 11 is known as a master number, not because it commands, but because it reveals. It reveals that clarity isn't something to search for, it's something to return to. And this return begins not with thought, but with presence. The number 11 is a mirror, not just of your potential, but of your current position in the sacred rhythm of life. It invites you to pause, not out of hesitation, but out of reverence. When you slow down, your intuition speaks more clearly. When you stop forcing, the right paths start unfolding. This is the energy of 11, the merging of instinct and insight, a kind of inner leadership that doesn't seek the spotlight but radiates from within. It's not about knowing the future, it's about recognizing the signals already here, and trusting that your natural rhythm is not behind, not late, not lost, but precisely aligned. In the vast choreography of the cosmos, there are moments when everything aligns, like breath synchronizing with wind, or footsteps falling into perfect tempo with time. The sun's alignment with galactic energy during this period enhances this sensation. It becomes easier to feel where you've been out of sync and easier still to return to a frequency that feels honest, sustainable, and alive. Just like water reflects only when it's still, your life reflects truth most clearly when your mind is calm. In spiritual practice, it's often said that truth is not something to grasp but something to allow. And the number 11 is an invitation to allow more than control, to listen more than speak, and to let your inner compass, the one you've always had, lead without second guessing. You're not required to explain your sense of knowing. You're simply asked to honor it. This is a gentle kind of strength, the power to trust what you feel, even when there's no evidence on paper. In this space, gratitude becomes more than a practice, it becomes a tuning fork. Try writing down 3 things you feel intuitively grateful for. Not what you should be thankful for, but what your body, your breath, your stillness seem to point toward. Then write 1 thing you choose to believe, something that hasn't happened yet, but that feels possible without needing proof. This isn't wishful thinking. This is alignment in action. Faith, when it comes from a place of quiet confidence, is not the opposite of logic. It's the deep structure beneath it. You don't need to prove that you're ready for what's coming. You only need to remain open enough to recognize when it arrives. The star, the tarot card aligned with this number, doesn't promise immediate answers, but it does promise light. Hope, not as a distraction from the present, but as a commitment to the present. You're not waiting for clarity. You're already inside it, it just speaks in whispers. Let the energy of 11 remind you, your sensitivity is not weakness, it is wisdom with a pulse. Let it lead you not forward, but inward. Because the path ahead doesn't begin with a decision, it begins with a return to the calm knowing you've carried all along. Just as the number 11 invited you to pause and realign with your inner rhythm, the arrival of the number 5 nudges you forward, with motion, with breath, with change. This isn't the kind of change that crashes through your life unannounced. It's the kind that begins with a subtle shift inside your body, a loosening of resistance, a willingness to let go of the illusion that stability always means staying still. In numerology, 5 is the vibration of flexibility, movement, curiosity, and even controlled chaos. It doesn't break things for the sake of destruction, it rearranges them so that what no longer belongs can quietly fall away. There's a reason why the planets influencing this time are Mercury and Uranus, forces that govern both communication and innovation, speed and disruption. But if you listen closely, you'll realize this isn't about speed for the sake of rushing. It's about motion that comes from clarity. When something in your life begins to shift, be it a job, a conversation, or a personal truth you've been avoiding, the number 5 appears to say, don't panic. You're not losing your way, you're adjusting to a more honest one. When we hold on too tightly to fixed outcomes, we lose the gift of becoming. And becoming isn't neat. It's a process of dissolving and rebuilding in equal measure. The most profound kind of growth often begins with surrender. Not the kind that feels like giving up, but the kind that feels like giving in. To rhythm, to timing, to the knowledge that what's meant for you can only reach you when your hands aren't clenched in fear. The number 5 reminds us that flow is not passive, it's active trust. It's the courage to adapt, to unlearn, to reorient, and to remain spacious in the face of uncertainty. When things begin to move around you or within you, that's not instability. That's recalibration. When your plans are disrupted, it's not punishment, it's redirection. In practices of mindfulness, there's a simple teaching: observe the movement of the mind like clouds drifting across the sky. Do not grasp. Do not push away. Just watch. That same wisdom applies here. Life doesn't need you to brace yourself, it needs you to soften your edges so the new shape can be formed without resistance. If you are in a moment where you don't have all the answers, that's okay. 5 doesn't ask you to know. It asks you to move anyway, with care, with breath, and with presence. You might begin to notice little invitations around you, an unexpected message, an idea you can't ignore, a conversation that lights something up in you. These aren't interruptions. These are gentle indicators that your path is widening. Let them in. Let yourself be changed by what's changing. It's not your job to predict the future. It's your opportunity to meet it with a steady heart and open hands. This number, this moment, is about participation. Not in outcomes, but in the act of staying engaged with life as it moves. So let your breath guide you. Let your curiosity lead. Let change walk beside you rather than against you. You're not being pulled away from what matters, you're being pulled deeper into it, in ways you couldn't plan for but can absolutely trust. And that trust is your anchor, even in motion. When we move from the activation of number 5 into the quiet power of number 13, something shifts beneath the surface. The energy is no longer about movement, it's about what's left behind in the stillness that follows. In numerology, 13 often carries misunderstanding. But its true essence is transformation, not destruction. It asks you to stop resisting the natural endings that must occur in order for space to be made. If 5 teaches us to flow, 13 teaches us to release with integrity. There is a silent kind of maturity in letting go of what no longer aligns, not out of anger or fear, but because you've outgrown it. This number is often mistaken for something ominous, but the energy of 13 is actually precise. It shows up when your inner structure needs reshaping, not because you failed, but because you evolved. Think of a tree shedding its leaves, not because something went wrong, but because it's part of the design. Similarly, 13 invites you to honor what's been, even as you soften into what comes next. There is dignity in good endings. There is grace in closure when it comes from awareness. In astrology, this kind of moment often coincides with Pluto transits, times when the deeper layers of identity are called forward. You may feel this as a quiet discomfort, or a sense that something is dissolving, even if you can't name it. But this is not collapse. It's simplification. The kind that occurs when you realize that your path forward requires you to travel lighter. Just as the body releases a deep breath it has held too long, the soul also needs moments of exhale, moments when you no longer grip what once defined you. There is a teaching that says, when the cup is full, it must be emptied to be of use. Number 13 is the emptying, not to discard, but to make room. In moments like this, the most powerful action you can take is not to fix or to fill, but to observe. Sit with what is falling away. Don't rush to replace it. Let the silence that follows be the teacher. Let it reveal what was noise and what was necessary. Often, it is only when things leave that we realize what they were holding in place. On a practical level, you may feel called to clear physical space, decluttering a drawer, cleaning out old files, ending small habits that no longer serve you. These are not trivial tasks. They are sacred acts of alignment. They mirror the internal decision to no longer carry the weight of what's done. And from this intentional release, clarity begins to form, not as a sudden burst, but as a soft unfolding. You are not being asked to erase your past. You are being asked to honor it by releasing its grip. What is meant to remain will find new form. What is meant to leave will do so with or without your permission. But when you choose to let go consciously, you reclaim your power. You stop bracing. You begin trusting the ground beneath you again. This is the energy of number 13, not an end, but an unbinding. A deep exhale. A silent return to what actually matters. Following the quiet transformation of number 13, the energy of 26 brings a grounded, stabilizing rhythm, like the feeling of your feet finding solid earth after walking through fog. If 13 invited release, 26 is the architecture that takes shape in its absence. It is not about building something grand overnight, but about layering each decision with care, with foresight, and with balance. In numerology, 2 and 6 come together to form 8, the number of sustainable power, not the flashy kind, but the kind that holds its shape in silence. This is the frequency of long-term abundance, of wealth that lasts not because it comes fast, but because it is rooted in what's real. The connection between Venus and the Moon during this time amplifies this vibration. Venus, representing value, beauty, and worth, merges gently with the nurturing cadence of the Moon, emotional intelligence, protection, and the rhythm of home. Together, they guide you to approach your finances and your life choices from a space of gentle structure. This is not about restriction. It's about alignment. It's about spending not from urgency, but from clarity. Investing not from fear of missing out, but from trust in what is meant to grow. The 10 of Pentacles, the tarot energy aligned with this number, echoes a truth many overlook. That fulfillment isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what you sustain and how it supports the people and values that matter to you. This is wealth as legacy, not as status. Think of your life as a garden, and this number asks, what systems are you putting in place to keep the soil fertile? What boundaries protect your peace? What habits support your future self, even when no one is watching? There is a principle that teaches us to choose the middle path, not out of compromise, but out of wisdom. When applied to money and responsibility, this translates into stewardship. You are being asked not to control every outcome, but to relate to money as a relationship, not a transaction. And in any healthy relationship, consistency, honesty, and respect are the foundation. With 26, you are supported in creating systems, not for survival, but for sustainability. This is a perfect time to set up a 3-month financial plan, not to micromanage, but to become more intimate with the flow of your resources. What are you spending energy on that no longer gives back? Where are you pouring into others without replenishment? Building wealth, true wealth, requires that you understand where your energy leaks, not just where your money goes. The number 26 doesn't shout for attention. It rewards those who move with quiet precision. It's the gentle hand on your back reminding you that you're allowed to go slower if slower means stronger. You don't have to be in a rush to build something real. You only have to be present enough to do it well. And when you do, your abundance won't need to be proven. It will be felt, lived, and trusted. After grounding yourself in the stability of structure, the number 3 invites you to soften, to expand, and to remember that joy is not a luxury, it's a frequency of alignment. Where 26 taught you to build with intention, 3 reminds you why you build at all. It brings back the color, the rhythm, the creativity that breathes life into what once felt like routine. In numerology, the energy of 3 is expression in its purest form, the laughter that erupts without planning, the dance that flows without choreography, the words that emerge when the heart is unguarded. It is not perfection that matters here, but presence. The willingness to show up as you are and to let that be enough. For Leo, ruled by the sun, number 3 feels like home. It speaks to your natural radiance, your desire to create not just to be seen, but to connect, to awaken others through your light. And yet, many people hold back their joy, waiting for permission, for a reason, or for someone else to validate their voice. But the truth is, self-expression doesn't ask for a stage, it simply asks for honesty. Whether it's through movement, sound, visuals, or silence, what matters is not the form but the freedom. Number 3 teaches us that beauty is not the result of mastery, it's the result of sincerity. In celestial terms, the sun's continued presence over your chart now ignites this energy even more intensely. You may feel it as a surge of creative ideas, a restlessness to break your routine, or even an urge to beautify your space, your words, your energy. These impulses are not distractions. They are invitations. When you let yourself create from a place of joy rather than pressure, you realign with the natural order of things, the rhythm where giving and receiving flow effortlessly. This is also the root of a very quiet wisdom. When you do what you love, you become magnetic, not because of effort, but because of authenticity. There is a quiet teaching that says the sound of a bell is not in the strike, it is in the space it opens. When you express yourself freely, without judgment or outcome, you are not just releasing emotion, you are opening space within you. And from that space, new insight, new direction, and even new opportunities can arise. That is why creativity is not an escape, it is a path to clarity. The joy you allow yourself to feel now creates conditions for deeper understanding later. If you're unsure where to begin, start small. Write one honest sentence a day. Hum a tune without needing it to become a song. Rearrange your room. Let your body move while brushing your teeth. These gestures may seem insignificant, but they are sacred in their simplicity. Because joy, like breath, multiplies when given attention. And through number 3, you're reminded that your light doesn't need approval. It simply needs space. Give it that, daily, gently, with care. Because the world doesn't just benefit from your presence. It changes because of your expression. Coming out of the warm current of creative expression that number 3 offers, the arrival of number 17 brings with it a quieter kind of certainty, one that doesn't shout, but simply knows. Where 3 awakened your voice, 17 now asks what that voice is meant to serve. In numerology, the union of 1 and 7 creates not only the power to initiate but the wisdom to navigate. This is the number of purpose refined by reflection, of ambition aligned with integrity. It doesn't push you to go faster. It calls you to go truer. The energy of Saturn and the Sun merging during this period strengthens this movement toward authentic action. It's not about dreaming anymore, it's about becoming. There are times when life presents us with questions that we can't answer with logic, only with action. And 17 is one of those moments. You may feel it as a nudge to take the next step towards something meaningful, even if no one else sees it yet. Or perhaps it's the clarity that rises after months of hesitation. Either way, this energy isn't waiting for perfection, it's moving in response to your readiness. And readiness doesn't always look like certainty. Sometimes, it just feels like a sense of peace when you imagine taking the leap. The Chariot, which mirrors this number in tarot, is not about external momentum. It's about the inner alignment that makes forward motion inevitable. It asks you to bring your actions in harmony with your values, to move not because of pressure, but because of purpose. And when your will and your wisdom walk together, movement becomes natural. The ancient teaching that right action is its own reward comes alive here. You don't act to gain approval, you act because inaction would dishonor your truth. If you're unsure where to begin, start each morning by placing a hand on your chest and asking softly, what would it mean to be loyal to my path today? Let the answer be simple. Let it be quiet. And then let it guide one small, visible choice. Number 17 doesn't need you to reinvent your life overnight. It needs you to walk in a straight line with yourself. That kind of honesty, over time, becomes unshakable power. If you've made it this far, Leo, then you already know, luck was never random. It has always been a reflection of the frequency you've chosen to carry, to protect, and to emit quietly into the world. What's unfolding for you between May 12th and 15th isn't some external windfall arriving out of nowhere. It's the natural response of a universe that listens to alignment more than noise. And alignment, as you've seen, is made not in big leaps, but in steady rhythms, the kind you've been practicing without applause. Each of the numbers that came through in this reading, 11, 5, 13, 26, 3, and 17, was never meant to predict your future. They're doorways, markers, mirrors. Not signals to chase, but confirmations that your inner world is already shifting, and that your outer world is beginning to catch up. So now the question becomes, what will you do with this knowing? What would happen if you chose to trust your pace instead of chasing momentum? What might grow if you honored what feels real instead of what looks impressive? It's easy to forget how powerful a single moment of presence can be. But that's what you're being asked to return to. Not performance. Presence. Not perfection. Progress. Maybe today is the day you choose to move with clarity instead of urgency. Maybe it's the day you choose to let one unnecessary pressure go. Or maybe it's the day you finally say yes to the version of yourself that no longer needs permission to shine. So I invite you to make this real. Choose one number, whichever one stirred something deep in you, and share it in the comments along with a personal affirmation. Not because you need to prove anything to anyone, but because naming your readiness is a form of opening. And when you open with intention, energy responds. If it feels right, you can borrow this affirmation. I'm not chasing wealth. I'm holding the frequency that makes wealth feel safe to stay. But you're welcome to write your own. What matters most is that it's yours. That it reflects the truth you're stepping into, not the fear you're leaving behind. And before you go, let me take a moment to say thank you, not just for watching, but for showing up. Every like, every comment, every moment you choose to subscribe and stay connected doesn't just grow this channel, it strengthens the energy field we're building together. You are not just a viewer. You are a co-creator in this space of clarity, growth, and conscious transformation. So stay. Not because you need more answers, but because you know that answers often arrive in stillness, not in search. Stay because the light inside you isn't asking to be discovered, it's asking to be chosen. And Leo, when you choose yourself, genuinely, wholeheartedly, and without delay, you'll find that the universe doesn't just respond. It joins you. Because you were never waiting for the right time. You were becoming it.